Here we have a few bikes we have lined up for the next auction, a few special ones we'll tell you more about. Some of them projects, some of them almost ready to use. Some of the bikes we have here, if you look at this one here, pretty rare bike, a BSA Bushman, which is essentially a Bantam. Made especially for Australian farmers, that's why it's called a Bushman. So a bit more tuned up, ice-swept exhaust. Possibly only 1400 stayed in this country. Most of them were exported abroad. Another one here, 1958-59 Ariel HT5 trials bike. In its day, that was the bike to have for trials riding. Pretty well as it would have been, slightly modified to make it more competitive. Front forks are off a Norton rolled older. Brakes have been modified just as if they've copied Sammy Miller's famous trials bike of the era. But pretty well unmessed about with an original condition. Company now 1935 BSA Blue Star. Legend is that this was the first bike that was actually reliable enough to go long journeys on. A big step forward in its day. Obviously looks dated now, but it is nearly 100 years old. Up and running, restored to use. Something you could actually go and do vintage rallies on quite easily. Further down the line, another interesting thing here. A BSA Rocket Gold Star. Again, legendary bike. There was only about 1,600 made. This has had its numbers verified by the Gold Star Owners Club. Whilst they only made 1,600, there's probably more claimed to be Rocket Gold Stars now than were ever made. Quite a find. This has been in one enthusiast owner's hands for the last 40 odd years. In fact, the Gold Star Club were very pleased because they knew of the bike but just didn't know where it was. Again, nice and original, as it would have been used in the 70s perhaps when it was last registered. Some restoration work, wheel rims have been done, but essentially in as used condition. Further down the line, same owner, same vendor, classic BSA Gold Star DB34. Again, in this man's hands since I think 1960. Third owner, so he owned it for, 60 odd years. Pretty well as he stopped using it in the mid-60s. It was his go-to-work bike, his main bike that he used. And then when she stopped using it, it just got put to one side. Pretty well complete, but pretty rare to have a Gold Star that's not been fully restored. If somebody wants a project to restore, that's all there and ready to go. Finally, we have a Scots 500cc, 1950. Pretty rare this, not many two-strokes about in the day. Scots stuck with the two-stroke idea. Became very popular with the Japanese more in the 60s and 70s, 80s even. But back then, a two-stroke British-made bike of that size was very rare. Again, all there, nice and original, and a bike that could still be used quite happily on vintage runs and rallies. We're now accepting consignments for our April 6th auction. If you want to get in touch with any questions about bikes, please get in touch with me, Ian Cunningham, or Mike Davis at h&h.co.uk.